Guy is strong, couldn't finish. Respect that guy. The only champion who was saying my name. This guy has big heart. Real lion. African real lion. Thank you, brother.
Well, Khamzat, enjoy this moment. Congratulations, sir. You're the new middleweight champion of the world.
Thank you very much.
This is a very important fight. It's a huge fight. You're one of the most dangerous challengers to ever fight for a title. This is a huge moment for you. Tell us what tomorrow night means to you.
Just gonna go this boy up, one day.
This win, in a way, like the way you won, almost proved something more. Like, a lot of people are questioning your cardio. Can you go 5 rounds? All that stuff. Like, does it feel good to kind of shut those people up a little bit?
I don't care what people think about doing my thing. So, like you said, how many strikes I landed on him, how many takedowns I has there.
Talk to me about that main event, DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev.
I just don't get why Plessis has achieved so much, because and again, I say it sounds like, I keep saying it. Sometimes you can spar some, like new guys in the gym, just like they don't have the experience, but they hit you because they do some crazy stuff.
Chimaev cannot get him down. If he cannot figure it out within those first 2 rounds, or the first round he gets him down, I think DDP's gonna beat him.
First round, brother! Yeah, brother! I would like to see Khamzat win. I just think this is a hard fight. I think Dricus, but I want Khamzat to win.
I personally think he beats up Khamzat Chimaev.
There was a report that the UFC Apex is going to be expanded to have like 10 to 15,000.
That was the biggest bullshit story ever written. It's fucking unbelievable. They quoted people that literally said nothing to them.
That post-fight interview was supposed to calm everyone down, but it only lit a fuse. UFC 319 was meant to be a coronation night, a clean passing of the crown with the crowd roaring and a new middleweight era announced. Instead, the loudest headline wasn't Khamzat Chimaev's domination. It was one referee's decision and a disciplinary hammer that the internet instantly rewrote as fired. If you missed the chaos, here's why the arena kept buzzing long after the lights went out, and why the arguments still haven't cooled days later. Khamzat arrived with pressure on his back and questions on his lungs. Could he really push for 25 minutes, and could he hold down the most awkward puzzle in the division without fading? From the opening exchange, the answers looked obvious. He shot, he stuck, he dragged, and he drowned. Dricus du Plessis tried to keep it standing, using the jittery timing that usually makes opponents hesitate. Once Khamzat wrapped his hands, the cage tilted toward the floor. The pattern repeated, level changed to the fence, outside trip or lift, and long stretches of top control with Dricus flattened and his arms trapped. From those positions, Khamzat didn't chase a single thunderbolt. He layered steady shots and short elbows, forcing Dricus to choose between protecting his face or giving up the next transition. At times, it looked like a training room drill performed at high speed. Du Plessis still found ways to stay dangerous. A quick scramble to a knee, a burst of strikes at distance, a stubborn whizzer that stalled a lift. But the math never moved in his favor. Every exchange ended with Khamzat moving him where he wanted him and forcing another defensive choice. Then came the moment that set everything on fire. In the middle of a dominant spell on the canvas, with Khamzat landing and Dricus defending, referee Mark Goddard stepped in and ordered a stand-up. The arena reacted like a circuit had popped. Online, the reaction grew even louder. Claims of bias and unfairness flooded timelines, and some fighters joked they feared 2 names only, God and Goddard. The debate hardened quickly. Was this a necessary reset after stalled action, or a decision that clipped an athlete's hard-earned momentum? The rulebook does give referees discretion when action stalls, and veterans like Goddard have seen every trick athletes use to steal breaths on the mat. The counter-argument is straightforward. Khamzat was active, landing, and incrementally improving, which is exactly the criteria for allowing groundwork to continue. Both readings can exist at the same time, but perception is king in a title fight. To many watching, the restart felt like lifting a weight off the defending champion's chest. Even if it didn't change the final outcome, it changed the temperature of the room, and that is why the moment won't stop echoing. What never changed was Khamzat's engine. The 2 biggest questions trailing him, cardio and composure. got clear answers. He didn't gasp, he didn't chase. He built the score round after round with the same blueprint and kept the pace honest until the final horn. Dricus had late flashes that reminded everyone why he was champion, but they were flashes, not a tide. When the totals were tallied, the control time, takedowns, and damage from dominant positions left little doubt. Dana White's summary was blunt. Almost every round belonged to the new king. He didn't hide his intentions either. Minutes after the belt wrapped his waist, he asked for a quick turnaround in Abu Dhabi at UFC 320. That impatience is part stubbornness and part strategy. Keep moving, and the division has to move with you. Possible dance partners surfaced immediately. Rainier de Ridder brings the kind of grappling that doesn't just shut down a fence. It attacks back with tricky chains and counters. The winner of Nasruddin Imavov versus Caio Baralho would offer sharp kickboxing and stubborn takedown defense. Anthony Hernandez sits on an 8-fight streak, a hard-charging option who might skip the line if timing opens a door. While the main event drove the headlines, a different story grabbed the sport by the collar. A heavyweight newcomer tested positive for a laundry list of banned substances. The official word was a 1-year suspension. Online, that transformed within minutes into the punchy headline, "Fired," because outrage loves simple words. The fighter admitted he had used things before signing and miscalculated how long they would linger. Some fans appreciated the honesty. Many more said the rules only matter when the punishment actually stings, and that the sport's sense of fairness depends on equal treatment, whether a name is small or massive. The violence reel also got fresh material that will live in promos for years. Lerone Murphy detonated a last-second spinning elbow on Aaron Pico that shut everything off like a light switch. It was the clean, cruel kind of technique that leaps across timelines and pulls even casual eyes back to the screen. Pico entered with heat behind his name. Murphy left with call-out rights and a champion answering from across the world. One perfect strike and one confident microphone can reorganize a division faster than any committee meeting. Michael Venom Page added sizzle of a different flavor. He danced on the edge of danger, stung with straight shots, then survived the grind when the fight dragged to the canvas. He banked rounds, banked a win, and then banked momentum by calling out Carlos Prates for a clash in Rio. It made instant sense. Prates had just folded Jeff Neal with a spinning elbow, and their styles promise fireworks without much clinch glue. Fans love matchups that ask a simple question: whose highlight package swallows the other? Back to the refereeing flashpoint, because that's where arguments keep looping. Was the stand-up technically wrong? The strict text invites restarts when action stalls or when a fighter stops working to improve. Khamzat's work was incremental, not explosive, but it was work. That split screen is why the outrage sticks. To some, the restart looked like overmanagement in a fight defined by control. To others, it looked like a veteran referee refusing to let long stretches of pressure replace meaningful offense. The truth the sport will live with is that a single judgment call can tilt the mood of a 5-round showcase. Beyond 319, the game did what it always does and sprinted forward. John Jones stepped back into the testing pool and hinted that retirement might not be a final chapter after all. Fans rolled their eyes and leaned in at the same time. A Jones versus Stipe Miocic booking feels like the classic that keeps whispering from just beyond the calendar's edge. And Superfight talk never dies when his name circulates. Nothing is signed, but history suggests that when Jones gets restless, something heavy eventually lands. Alex Pereira's update looked small on paper and huge in practice. 3 English words a day, he promised. That may not sound like news, but it builds a bridge. Poatan doesn't need language when his left hook speaks fluent nightmare, yet this sport lives on microphones and moments. By October's rematch with Magomed Ankalaev, the gap may be thinner, and that matters when you're trying to connect a thunderous style to a global audience. Winning builds a legend, speaking lets you steer it. Another thread tightened around Paddy Pimblett. After Ilia Topuria grabbed gold in June, he tossed Paddy's name into the air, and comment sections turned into a court. Critics argue his climb has been cushioned by connections and favorable matchups. Defenders counter that he fights who he's offered and keeps winning. Meanwhile, veterans like Benil Dariush stepped forward, aiming for December and promising to test the hype without safety rails. However the booking lands, the next bout will either harden belief or pop the bubble. So where does UFC 319 sit inside the bigger story? It's a mirror for whatever you bring to it. If you're a Khamzat believer, you saw a 5-round blueprint for holding holding a division hostage with pressure, chain wrestling, and calm under oxygen debt. If the stand-up burned you, you saw a preventable interruption that muddied dominance and demanded colder consistency in title fights. If you chase narratives, you got a stack of them: a viral elbow, a suspension that turned into a public trial, a showman angling for Rio, and a hungry champion asking for another dance before the sweat dries. Here's the fair landing. The cheating talk is a claim, not a verdict. Rumors suggest unfairness. Replays show control. The referee's reasoning, if and when it's laid out, will matter. The fired label pinned on the heavyweight is internet exaggeration. The official word was suspension. Everything else is emotion draped over incomplete information, and emotion is baked into this game. That's why the arguments feel unavoidable, and why this card won't stop living rent-free in everyone's head. Until the next card drops, the takeaways are sharp enough to carry. One official's decision can drown out 24 minutes of dominance. One perfectly timed elbow can change a ranking faster than any press release. One failed test can slam a window shut before anyone notices it was opening. And one restless champion can yank an entire division into a faster orbit just by saying, "Next month, let's go." UFC 319 didn't deliver tidy answers. It delivered a highlight reel you can't stop replaying and a set of questions that make the next booking feel urgent.